Cheers, everybody. Welcome to Fire for Effect Live, 23 November. Fuck, man, I've been gone a long time. 10 days of hunting camp, 2 days home, 10 days in Mexico, 5 days too much, all spent on an air mattress. So I've got 4 days in my own bed this month. So I missed out on a lot of shit. There's Tara. How you doing, young lady? Let's bring in the Blue Rocketeer. Just me and him tonight. It's going to be an interesting night. What's going on, man?
Oh man, love and life, you know it, right?
Fuck, I didn't want to go on tonight. I was like, what are we going to talk about? And then all this great shit happened.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into in a bit.
Yeah, not too much to talk about. I mean, that being said, there's always things to talk about.
Yeah, well,
It's just how
there's
badly
actually
we want to rant.
there's a lot of segue stuff. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily what people think.
know-
First of all, I want to raise a glass. I don't break this glass out much very often. This is an artillery glass. This is the guns. Thank God the guns. Good friend of mine.
Thank God the guns.
Thank God the guns. They come in handy from time to time. And then when there's no war, they want to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Anyways, a good friend of mine, I haven't seen him in a few years, passed away yesterday. 32 years of service. Works at 3 Can Div here in Edmonton on the base. Still serving member. Had a heart attack. Died at his desk. So here is to, I believe he was a sergeant. Clancy Seamus Michael Harder. Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
See you in Valhalla. Stand easy.
You're born.
Yeah. So fuck. What have I missed?
Not much. I just want to say, like you said, thank God the guns, and nobody likes the guns, and I feel it like as a sniper, nobody gives a shit about the guns, during peacetime, and I remember like before Afghanistan, making fun of the gunners and things like that. But man, I remember being in Afghanistan and being, in bad places, surrounded by even worse people. And man, thank God for the guns, because everybody likes to talk a big game about fast air and bombers and all this shit. Man, they weren't fucking reliable. But buddy, I could pretty much key a hand sight and cry into the mic and be like, ah! And guess what? Target round. Like those gunners with those 777s were fucking surgical. And,
very good gun. Very good gun.
Well, it wasn't just a gun. It's a very good gun. But I think it's a testament to the operators. Because anybody can shoot a gun. But it takes a pro to master it. And those guys in, out in Shiloh, what's that, one horse?
1 RCHA, correct.
Yeah, I don't. I'm sure 2 horses just as good. But those guys in 1 horse in Shiloh, those guys had their shit wired tight.
Get some rock star forward observers, man. That was my thing before. When I was still doing artillery shit.
Well, let's not forget the boys on the gun line, because those guys on the gun line are making it fucking happen.
Yeah.
So to the guns.
Here's to the guns. I love it. And actually, St. Barbara's coming up this December 3rd, which is the patron saint of gunners, miners, engineers, and anything to do with explosives. So I'll be having a fucking party that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I'm back. Fuck.
I thought you were still in Mexico.
No. We got back Monday night. It actually was a good flight, man.
Nice.
I tried in vain to change. They fucked up my name. They did my full name, which I'm not going to disclose on this medium. And I tried to change it because they fuck with you. They don't let you on the plane if your name's not right.
Yeah.
So I tried to email Swoop because I flew Swoop.
Yeah.
Coming back. I emailed him. They want you to message him on Twitter. We're going to talk about Twitter in a second.
Absolutely.
I called them. They said, no, we don't take calls. Fuck, right on. Good. They said, go see the lady at the desk. Assuming it could have been a dude. Sorry. And she she did not give a fuck, man. I'm like, fuck this. I've exercised due diligence. I'm just going to get on that plane. So I show up at the thing with the wrong name. 3 minutes. Got a boarding pass. I'm at the bar. Actually, before I go to the bar, I'm waiting at the back. Dave goes up. My buddy Dave, who's my best friend. I'm moving to Mexico with him. My best heterosexual friend. So we're explicitly fucking clear.
I like how you had to.
Right? Yeah, no, you got to caveat shit these days, man. So anyways, Dave is like the worst traveler on the fucking planet.
Really?
Like, going through airports, he would rather be downrange on a bomb or like getting it on with bad guys
Just
and
getting
go through a
shot at and
fucking
blown up.
yeah, all day over going through an airport.
I
And
don't blame
we've,
him.
you know, I've known him since 2008 when Counter ID stood up, and we've been all over the world together. And he's just a fucking nightmare traveler. So he goes up and he's there 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I'm like, what the fuck's going on, man? He turns around, he just gives me the universal signal. So I go to the bar. I go to the bar.
So I go to the bar.
I finish my beer. I'm looking. Everybody's trying to steal his stool because it's a busy airport bar in Puerto Vallarta. And I got his beer there. I got my beer. I'm about to give up. And just as I crack his beer and smash the lime into it, he shows up. I'm like, where the fuck have you been, man? And he goes, I don't want to talk about it. Like all his shit was right dressed. But they asked him 8 million questions. They had 4 people at the desk looking at the computer, typing in stuff. I'm like, the guy can't win, man. My name is wrong. My fucking name is technically wrong. And I'm good to go. And this guy's shit's all good to go. And he can't get a boarding pass for like inside a half an hour. It was a gong show, man. So we made it back, but here we are now. Yeah, you're not on Twitter, are you?
No, not really.
Are you on any social media?
No, man. I mean,
lucky you.
I'm in a few like WhatsApp groups and shit like that, but I mean, outside of that,
yeah, but I mean, like Facebook, Instagram, all that bullshit.
And not only am I not on it, I've never been on it.
You're lucky. You're very see. The only reason I went on Facebook, it came out in 2007, and that was my first Afghanistan tour. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be a great way to talk to everybody back home, like one-stop shopping.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then it turned into a cesspool of shit.
Yeah.
So I've been 4 years Facebook free. Good on Instagram because it's easy. I'm that guy on Instagram that just posts pictures of my dogs and my food, and I use it to like promote what we're going to talk about on a Wednesday night, and that's about it.
But that being said, like I mean, you know, from a podcast point of view, all that social media is probably a good
thing. And I was advised, well, you need to get a Facebook account. I went, fuck that. That's where I'm drawing the line, man. There's no she agrees with me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I don't disagree.
Sarah agrees. I'm like, there's no scenario on earth where I'm getting back on fucking Facebook. None. Zero. Nada.
Never say never.
Okay. No, I could tell you right on my mother's grave. There's no scenario. None.
Fair enough.
And I can't stand Twitter. It's just a bunch of fucking assholes with 2 thumbs telling you what they think. You know, the keyboard warrior type guys.
Yeah.
It is the worst medium as far as social media goes for fucking knobs saying shit. And when you look at it, the only reason I have it is for this and this only. Like I post nothing on there that it does not have anything to do with Fire for Effect. And Linz, he's get your fucking Christmas lights up, buddy. I was gonna get Ryan on the show tonight, right? Because I need a left-wing pinko commie to counterbalance the core content.
Yeah, it's true. We definitely need
that guy. He's from Hamilton. Ryan Lindley is jumping on right now. I'm sure he's got everything done, and I'm sure he's into a couple drinks. He's the host of the Sheeple Shepherd podcast, the Linz Report, a co-host on the Dean Blundell Network, and a lightweight drinker. Who the hell's this guy? Discord, great for making fuck. I gotta bounce some asshole. Hang on a second. Apologize to you listeners. We get these Russian robots. Go away, whoever you are. Okay, I gotta send Ryan the link. Say things to the people here. Keep the listeners entertained. Ryan's asking for a lot.
Oh, of course. I mean, I don't really have that much to say, but
well, you're doing great.
Yeah. I mean, where should we begin? I guess this could like be our segue into like one of the things we're going to talk about, and we've talked about it time and time again on this podcast, and it comes back to you know, firearms. I'm not going to say the dirty word. Actually, I guess I am going to say it is gun control. You know, and the government tries to say gun control, but realistically, is it about controlling guns? We have a cultural problem, and it's the same thing whether it's in the United States, whether it's in France, whether it's in the United Kingdom. If you have a madman that goes around and shoots a bunch of people, like,
Well, let's get
whether he runs them over with a truck.
Yeah.
Or remember, we had the guys in southern Saskatchewan went around and like stabbed like.
Oh shit!
Like we don't have we don't have a knife problem. We don't have a truck problem when people get run over. You know, when we have like drunk drivers. Nobody frames it as an alcohol problem. But the instant that somebody gets shot, well, now we have a gun problem.
Well, that's not even. Let's bring everybody up to speed here. So yesterday, Ashley, did he get his lights up? Yesterday, it was yesterday, right? Bill C-21, and I know we've done this before, but there's been some changes. So the Liberal government made amendments to Bill C-21, which is, I don't know the title of it. It's a fucking gun control bill.
Yeah.
And they added a gazillion more guns to the list. Basically anything that is a semi-automatic weapon capable of receiving a detached magazine is now on the list. So that exponentially adds the amount of guns that are banned. And we're going to dive into this here in a second. I'm going to bring up a thing. This is from the CCFR website, the Coalition for Canadian Firearms Rights, which I'm a member of.
I was actually kind of trying to read through because I mean it hasn't been released. I don't even believe it's out in the Gazette yet. But like from what I gather, not only is it semi-automatic magazine fed, it could potentially be. I mean, granted, this has to go through the House of Commons. It has to go through the Senate before it gets royal assent and it's actually made law. So like, I'm not trying to freak anybody out or anything, but it almost seems like anything that's center fire that's magazine fed, which is I mean, I've got a hunting rifle, which is a Browning X-Bolt. It's got a 3-round detachable mag, 30-06. It's got a brown walnut stock. It's like the most hunting rifle of hunting rifles ever. It's like your grandpappy's, odd 6 from Second World War. Moreover, I also have like a Lee Enfield, which also, and my Lee Enfield was made in 1950 at the Long Branch Arsenal in Toronto. So these have detachable magazines, but they're bolt action rifles, hunting rifles, for lack of a better term. And they could potentially be, outlawed because they have a detachable magazine, So, I mean, what does that mean? I mean, for me,
maybe.
I mean, we don't know. And the thing is, it all boils down to messaging. So, I mean, what happens? So let's assume like pistols and anything semi-automatic gets banned unless it's prohibited. We see what's happening in Australia right now, and they're thinking anything that they deem that has a high rate of fire, a pump action shotgun, because you can cycle it quickly, or a lever action rifle like a cowboy, like a lever action, like a 30-30.
Like an old 30-30.
That has the potential for a high rate of fire for a highly trained person. So now in Australia, they're going like you cannot like pump action shotguns are on a chopping block and lever action rifles. So where does it end? You know what I mean? It's one of those things. And I guess my next point, like a bolt action rifle. If you take a bolt action, like I'm a sniper, you take a bolt action rifle, you put a piece of magnified glass on it. Now it's a sniper rifle. Now if the government was to take that and they're like every bolt action rifle is a sniper rifle because it's got like optics on it, well, now it's evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
I mean,
take
so
a
does
hunting
my 30-06 hunting rifle. I got a Winchester XPR 30-06, beautiful gun for
beautiful
hunting.
Gun.
Love it. Let's bring up what the CCFR posted. I'm not reading the whole fucking bill because it's just mindless bullshit, and it hasn't gone through its due process, as you said. So here's what we're dealing with. This is from the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights. This is just an excerpt. All right, I'm going to read this out for the people listening. Breaking news: new massive long gun bans brought by the Liberal/NDP/Bloc coalition. Today, the Liberal/NDP/Bloc coalition government broke the glass on a typical Liberal distraction tool. We'll get into that in a bit. Gun bans. Here's Mr. Ryan Lindley. With Canadians reeling from a failed economy, tripling of taxes looming, 1.5 million Canadians are using food banks, hospitals overwhelmed with 6 children who can't even get Tylenol, Chinese interference in elections, and of course, a terrible showing at the Public Order Emergency Commission. The Liberals needed the media and Canadians in general talking about something other than their failures. I don't disagree with that. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ryan Lindley.
Hi, kids.
Did you get those decorations up, buddy, or what?
Well, look behind me. Obviously, they're up.
I like it.
I love it, man.
It's great.
There, I took the whole day off just to get that done.
Love it.
As long as Mama Bear is happy, you're
Listen,
good to go.
We're in Christmas mode. We've got
We are.
cranberry ginger ale for the whiskey.
Where did you get
it's gonna
that?
be a good night.
Cranberry ginger ale. Can we get that out here? Probably.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Probably not.
I seen it at Safeway today. You can get it here.
I don't know if it does socialist Alberta allow that now with Daniel
Whoa,
Smith
whoa,
just
whoa,
handing
whoa.
out,
Where the hell are you?
handing out
Don't
money.
listen. Leave wheel tits alone.
Wheel tits. I didn't know she was such a fan of socialism after that announcement last night, boys.
Could
Who's
you
that?
not tell that she decided to like shut her mouth because an election's coming and leave Rachel nowhere to go? Like, I thought she was going to come out and go right-wing crazy like she normally does. And obviously her handlers, or that's probably not the right term, her advisors. I apologize.
Right.
to all you-
Political
to
strategists.
all you fucking nutcases that live in my province. Political strategist said, maybe you should just kind of go down the middle on this one.
Yeah. Ryan, where are you right now?
I'm in Hamilton in Ontario.
Oh,
I'm going
that's
out there in January. That's still on, just so you know.
Good.
So,
Good.
hey,
I can't wait.
do you want a little political info here? That I don't know if everybody's aware of it, but so if you want to become like a card-carrying member, say like the Liberal Party of Canada or the Conservative Party of Canada, like federally, you actually have to. So you'll go online and you'll pay your dues and you become a Liberal Party member or a Conservative Party member.
Yeah.
Now, if I wanted to be a member of like the Alberta Provincial Liberals, I have to go on to their provincial site. Same thing with the UCP. Go on to their site. Now, funny story. If I want to become a member of the the federal NDP, you cannot become a member of federal NDP. You actually go to your provincial NDP. You join the provincial NDP, and that gives you automatic access into the federal NDP. So that's interesting because that means that Rachel Notley and the provincial NDP, they are staunch supporters of Jagmeet Singh and the federal NDP. And why this is interesting is because, say like the province of Quebec, for example, they're a fairly conservative province, and a lot of times, and even in places in Ontario, you'll see people they will provincially they'll vote conservative. But then federally, they'll vote liberal. You know what I mean? So you can have a provincial, X party, and you can vote provincially, you can vote X, but federally, you can vote Y. But for as far as the NDP goes, if you're voting NDP provincially, you're voting NDP federally. So like Rachel Notley is essentially tying her horse off to Jagmeet Singh, which I don't think is going to do her any favors politically. Not in Alberta anyway. But
I'll tell you. I agree, and I'll tell you a funny story. If I was actually able to put my byline here, it would be former riding director of the federal and provincial NDP here. Just so you're aware, full disclosure.
Oh, you were?
And I resigned when that rule started, and it was because of the fact that money that we were pulling for our provincial candidate all goes into a pot, whereas the donator thinks they're donating to John Smith, provincial NDP, and next thing you know, your money is actually going to Jagmeet Singh, and maybe some to John Smith. So I didn't like that. I didn't like how it was technically above board, but wasn't really advertised that way. So unsuspecting party donors didn't know. So same thing. You could like your NDP provincial candidate and not like your NDP federal candidate, and you could vote separately. That would have been fine. But the disclosure thing really bothered me, and I resigned my post. And that was 2 years ago. So
That's and you know what? I don't have like obviously like federally right now. I'm not a big fan of the Liberals. That being said,
neither
like
am I.
the NDP, both federally and provincially, you know, across Canada. I mean, I've never voted NDP. That being said, I've always had some amount of respect for the NDP. I mean, back where I'm from in St. John's, Newfoundland, I believe St. John's East, we had an individual there. I can't remember his name to save my life right now, but he'd been a long time NDP. You know, a great guy. He'd always been elected in, I believe it was St. John's East or St. John's West. I can't remember. And and he was a highly respected guy. So, but now, like the NDP used to kind of be like, they used to be like tied in, say, with the unions, and they were, you know, about the working class people and things like this. But now, like, I mean, these guys are lockstep with the Liberals, and it's kind of interesting to see, like, the NDP, they don't give a shit about the working class people. Like, they masquerade like they do, but they're more in line with the Liberals, which I think they cater a little bit more to the wealthy. Just saying.
It's definitely not Jack Layton's party anymore.
No,
Jack,
and you know what?
That was my guy.
Taliban Jack, loved him.
At the time, Taliban Jack, I agree with you, Chris. I did not like Jack Layton, but now, hindsight's 2020, I have a lot of respect for Jack Layton. He took the party. They were the official opposition.
There's a lot of
and
things
the thing is that the NDP scumbags of today, Jack Layton is rolling in his grave, because I think now Jack Layton was an honest man. He was there for the people, and I never thought I'd ever say these things in my life, but Jack Layton's turning his grave, and I wish we had an honest politician like Jack Layton running the NDP right now, because if so, I think we'd be in a lot better place.
I think they'd be further ahead than the Liberals. I really do.
And Jack Layton, God rest his soul.
Yeah. Cheers to Jack Layton.
Cheers to Jack Layton.
Yeah. No, I agree. And
I'm a right winger. So and the funny thing is, I think by today's standards, people might even call Jack Layton a right winger.
I'd say he's right of center, or he was center right. He was very centered on, and he was that Labor Party guy, right? Which would have meant he was. I don't want to. I hate the word socialist, and I use that as a joke with the Danielle Smith thing, with her handing out money like it's Doug Ford and license plates in Ontario right now. But we were really pissed, and this go around, I swear, I thought for sure we were going to see Mike Layton, Jack's son, run.
Really?
And
so
and it was.
Where's he right now?
Like, he's in Toronto. Story? Yeah, he's a Toronto guy, right? So he was on city council in Toronto, and we thought for sure, that's
really,
you know what?
Man.
Because Andrew, even provincially, would have been great, because Andrew Horvath stepped down, became our mayor here in Hamilton now, and it left a wide open gap in Ontario for the NDP. And if anything, put your hat in the ring as, you know, you're Jack Layton's kid. Would have been great, all good.
Hey,
and then all of a sudden, you could maybe oust Jagmeet. And don't get me wrong, Jagmeet Singh is a nice guy, and I'll give you that. He's a very nice human being. That's exactly it. Do you know who else is a really nice guy when you meet him? Doug Ford. Doug Ford's a nice guy.
He probably is. I like to go party with his.
Doesn't mean shit.
Anyway.
Me and Chris, we've had this conversation before. And now, granted, I mean, you know, the world isn't the army. But the worst thing you can say about a guy, especially for me in the infantry, if I
he's
say
a nice guy.
He's a nice guy. The first thing, if they lead with, he's a nice guy, I'm like, this guy sucks.
It's like on PBS. It's like a hash. It's just like, good for you.
Yeah. Oh, good for you.
Like,
good for you.
Do you know Chris? I'll be like, yeah, he's a terrible fucking prick.
If somebody said to me while I was in uniform, if they said, well, you're a nice guy, I would have turned around and said, what the fuck did you just say to me? Like,
what'd you call me?
Call me a cunt. That's fine. But if you say I'm a nice guy, fuck, I'm gonna fucking bang you out, man.
If Mike Layton is like half the man that his old man was, like, I mean, look at what Justin Trudeau did. I mean, that guy's fucking useless, and he wrote in on his dad's name. If Mike Layton could write in on his father's name, but he could like maintain his father's legacy, which I disagreed with his policies, but I didn't think Jack Layton was a scumbag. I just disagreed with his policies. right?
I'm running out of, and it's funny that you say, like, the way you said, like, Justin Trudeau is a scumbag. I'd say 2 years ago I would have countered you, and I would have just said, you know what?
I'll be right back.
Aside from, hang on, listen though, let me finish.
No,
Aside
you get to
from,
finish. I'll be right back.
oh, okay.
Okay, carry on.
Aside from this, what about blah blah blah? And in the last 2 years, I'm having a real hard time defending the guy when it comes to policy that is, and it's almost, and I hate to use it as it's because it's very cliche, especially with the discussion you guys are having with C21, and it's very hair trigger, and it's very almost poll related, or Twitter atmosphere related, like taking a temperature from a social media group to write policy, which is not a smart way to govern. And I'm having a hard time defending, like, and don't get me wrong, there's lots of things I will defend him on. I'll defend him on his the response on COVID. You know what? Numbers are numbers. Numbers don't lie. He did okay. I'm not going to say he was great. I'm not going to say he was shit, but did okay. This EA thing, I was totally for that right from the get-go. Convoy was a bunch of bullshit. We've pulled out so many receipts about that. So yes, very current, in your face issues that we're talking about, and that's what gets me when pundits are on talking about him. We got to look at a bigger picture. He's been around for a lot of years now, so let's look at the problems and you can't just table these as he's a great prime minister. Oh, he's my favorite prime minister, I love him. You can't do that. It's not fair anymore.
Let's utilize that, because we started with the NDP. It's completely segued off the conversation. And the conversation tonight is not about the guts of Bill C-21. I don't give a fuck about that. That's not what we're talking about. So if any gun nuts are watching this, it's not about that. My question for you guys, or to ponder, is, do you think is there a chance that Bill C-21, based on the timeliness of its release, is another deflection to steer the conversation away from the failings or the issues or situations that the Liberal government is currently
from everything?
From everything? Call it what you want. So that's what I'm throwing out there. Is this another deflection to say, we're going to ban all these guns, and then PP steps up and goes, I'm pro-gun, and completely smoke and mirrors and deflects away from the fact that Mr. Trudeau is in the hot seat on Friday. The whole Emergencies Act inquiry, a public inquiry, by the way, is not going the way they wanted. He's in shit with whole RCMP, political interference based on the Nova Scotia shootings. It goes on and on and on. So that's my question to you guys is, do you feel like he is creating a deflection with this versus the guts of it?
Just to some degree, I think he is, because we've seen it time and time again. When something shitty happens, they try to deflect. So, to some degree, I think so. That being said,
to be fair, all politicians do.
All politicians do, and like I said,
everything's up for grabs.
Sure,
everything's up for grabs. But I think like I said, in Canada right now, this like PAL and RPAL holders, there's about 2.2 million of us, of 40. Most people have no idea. Like, if you're not a PAL holder, an RPAL holder, Ryan, do you have a PAL or an RPAL?
I let mine lapse when it was still the old system, and then I never
okay,
because I don't hunt anymore. I don't use anything, so everything's
fair enough. But
there's definitely not any guns in my house, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Unlike another co-host on the Dean Blundell Network.
Yeah, my only point with that question is that you have an understanding of what it takes, and the background checks and the hoops you have to jump through in order to legally own a firearm in Canada.
Yes, sir.
And I believe there was a while back, there was a conservative member of parliament that said, hey, if you're going to be if as a liberal member of parliament, if you are going to be on any type of committee involving firearms, you should have to have a PAL and an RPAL. And the Liberals got their backs up. They're like, that's bullshit, not a fucking chance. And I'm thinking, like, how can you make laws and how can you change laws when you don't even understand? You have no basic understanding of what the average Canadian has to go through to obtain a PAL or an ARPAL so that they can simply own a bolt action rifle to hunt a deer with. You know? I mean,
there's a couple things that, yeah, that's fair. I mean, the hypocrisy, there's two parts to this to me. One is the timing is pure deflection based on the pressure that the government's feeling.
Yeah.
And then the second part is it's just so hypocritical. When you're doing these things under the guise of public safety, it's and I had all this math. I had all the numbers of how much money they're going to give CBSA, of how much money they're going to give the RCMP to stop cross-border gun smuggling, because over 90% of all gun crimes are committed with the use of illegal firearms that are cross-border gun smuggled. So I had this big list of numbers, but I don't like to use numbers. I hate fucking statistics because they're skewed and always, subjective to argument, which is fair. But I have a good friend of mine he's a member of the RCMP, long-serving member. I'm not going to name him because he's releasing next year. And he gave me some good information. He says, listen, it doesn't matter how much money you throw at it, which is not a lot compared to what it's going to cost for this buyback program. At the end of the day, the RCMP has the same manning problem, recruiting problem, and morale problem that the Canadian Forces has. So our lens has been on the CF for the last, pretty much this entire podcast. And he says they have the same problems. It's about inclusion, diversity. It's not attracting the right people.
Yeah.
They're focusing on what they want versus what is needed.
They need, yeah.
Right. They're not focusing on the type of people that want to be in the RCMP because it doesn't fit the demographic that they're looking
pandering.
For.
It's a pander.
It's exactly
it's
what
a
they're
definite
doing.
pander. Yeah,
So,
no, it smells like that for sure.
He gave me the number of members that are actively involved, and this basically goes from British Columbia to Saskatchewan to manage cross-border gun smuggling, and it's a fucking joke. I'm not going to get into those details because it's privileged information. So it's great to have a brand new building and all these great vehicles and lots of tech. But if you have no people, because nobody wants to be a cop anymore, it's fucking irrelevant.
Yeah. You ever see North Korea when they put the freshest produce in the window, but you go inside the store and it's just a bunch of rotting fruit? Yeah, man. That's exactly what we're looking at. It's window dressing.
So when you come out with these new gun laws, and like I said, it's two-pronged. It's to create this false sense of security amongst the Canadian population that these new gun laws will make you safer. Well, they won't. And number two, the timing feels like you're deflecting from your current problems. And the only people eating shit on this are people like me. Here's where I put my redneck camouflage Alberta boy short haircut hat on. And you're taking my guns, and it's like, and then I know Ryan, you and me talked about this, and this is a bit sensitive. If there's any indigenous people watching or listening, this is just a fact that this bill C-21 does not apply to the indigenous population of the country, to First Nations. It doesn't. Because
on the surface it doesn't, but they're obviously they're going to offer recommendations to the band councils and most of them are in lockstep with what the feds do when it comes to guns, which is usually would be okay, we're working in partisan, we're in unity, and it's a handshake, and this is what we're doing. If you guys would like to please follow along. And 9 times out of 10, depending on the as long as it's culturally appropriate, band councils are usually great. They're like, no problem, keep sending the check, But
my point is, it's one of those hypocrisy things where Trudeau was the first guy, quote unquote, you do not need an AR-15 to take down a deer.
Yeah,
and I agree with that.
He's right.
No,
he's right.
Okay, but first of all,
an AR-15 to take down a deer.
Chris, 1 second.
Not if you want to eat it.
Listen. No. Okay, first of all, I'm going to fucking I'm gonna fucking shut both of you motherfuckers down right
Okay.
now.
Okay.
So listen,
He's
hear me
the
out.
expert.
Hear me out. First
Okay.
of all, clearly, Mr. Trudeau has no idea what he's talking about. He's like, nobody needs an AR-15 to take down a deer. I'll be like, you know what, Mr. Prime Minister? You're absolutely fucking right, but clearly you have no idea what you're talking about because an AR-15 is a restricted firearm, which means you are only allowed to shoot it on approved ranges. So even if, technically speaking, I'm a fucking sniper, from a ballistical standpoint, can you take down a deer with a 223 Remington or a 5.56 NATO? You absolutely can. However, in that rifle, with that rifle, are you allowed? You are absolutely not allowed because it is illegal. So the fact that he said it is absolutely fucking redundant.
You're right, but it's a talking point, and he's using
it's political banter. It's bullshit.
It is, but you got to remember, and the same, and again, I'm gonna say this with a very light defense of the guy.
Yeah,
he's not addressing you. He's addressing Margaret that lives next door, that's 70 years old, that watches the news and hears about AR-15s killing people. That's who he's talking to.
Yes, but
and yes, they are his voters.
How many people in Canada have been killed with AR-15s?
But that's okay. So let me touch on that because we've covered this before. This is rhetoric, right? We've done this before.
It's true though. You have a point. No, you're absolutely right though. It is. It's what rhetoric. It's a talking.
Yeah. And what's important? Rhetoric.
Killed. Let me answer the question, Morgan. Hang on. 0 people have ever been killed by AR-15 in this country. 0.
Correct.
But what they do is you look at the timing of these bills is they import American problems into Canada.
That's right. Yeah, and in keeping with the spirit of the number 0, it's 0 times that Justin Trudeau has ever spoken to us as adults, and he never does. That is a governance style and approach that he likes to use. It's very what's the word I'm looking for? He's very parental, but it's also condescending in a term. It's condescending, especially to people like you guys, who when it hits your ear, it hits your ear fucking really wrong. The average person is like, yeah, but we know the facts about AR-15s, and you're using a brand name to just try and ring some bells and like make people open their eyes, which yes, it's a strategy. It does work when it comes to trying to gain or to gain some sort of attention. Well, it didn't. You're right. And to your point before that about ramming it through during what's going on, you're absolutely right. If anything, this EA inquiry and all this bullshit that's going on with that is a blessing to the Liberal government right now, trying to jam these bills through, including Bill C-11. The censorship bill, the online censorship
which is
bill,
even worse than C-21.
Worse.
Exactly. Right.
So that goes back to smoke and mirrors.
Smoke and mirrors.
Noise of C-21.
Yeah.
But C-11.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Exactly.
Which is like, I agree. I agree with both of you. Like, I will say that, like, this is me because I'm the right winger here. I think I think the United States of America is probably one of the most fucked up countries in the world. However, I think that at the same time, it is the best country in the world because of their constitution and because of the First Amendment. Freedom of speech. They're the only people. They're the only people. It's the only country in the world that has it actually like enshrined in doctrine that freedom of speech is the be all and end all. Amendment number 1. And of course, me being me, amendment number 2, bing, is the right to have and bear arms. So God knows I love the Second Amendment, but I think first and foremost, more important than the Second Amendment is the First Amendment. And I think that, like you said, I'm pissed about C-21, but man, C-11, that right there, that's the hill I'm willing to die on.
Yeah, it's a
because
terrible
what they're doing is absolute horseshit.
Yeah. And all it is to serve corporate entity. It's to serve corporate interest in lobbyists that donate to the party, and it's blatant. And you'll notice who isn't complaining about it? Any party, because it's going to benefit all of them eventually. So the only one that they can use C-21. Polyev can go on and use it as a wedge issue Trudeau uses it as a wedge. Like these guys don't ever talk about real things. They don't talk about things that actually matter. It's a game of volleyball back and forth all the time. And the problem is the real people like us who sit and watch and are affected by these stupid policies. And all it is just a game to get elected because we're going to get pissed off and we're going to vote for the other guy, or we're going to get pissed off, or we're going to agree and we're going to vote for that guy. That it's time and time again, the beauty and the fucking tragedy of a democracy, and we're living it.
But I mean, that's actually, you're touching on a good point. Trudeau and his government are brilliant tacticians. I'll give them that, because if you want to hide something that's significant, you make a bunch of noise.
Yeah.
It's like a fucking Simpsons town hall meeting. Bart's a vampire. Yeah, Bart's a vampire. Get him. Meanwhile, over here,
monorail.
Monorail.
That's what I see, and I sit back and watch the masses gravitate towards hype versus what is actually important that we're not paying attention to, because most of us absorb media this way. Okay, well, meaning me. I have my morning constitutional.
Congratulations.
I flip through my news feed. I have the attention span of a squirrel, thanks to the movement of information. And I just read I skim headlines. I'm guilty. I don't dig into the guts of a story,
right?
Because it's fucking mind-numbing. They're counting on that. They're counting on people out there to just skim stuff and like, hey, let's make a little noise over here. And over here, we're doing this, and we'll slide that under the rug, and you won't even know what happened until it's done.
Mm-hmm.
And
social media has done nothing but fuel that, and it's crazy now, like how easy it is for them to employ that tactic. And that's what's so sad about it, is here we are talking about one thing that is, again, I agree with you guys. It's C-21 is bullshit, and it's inconsequential. It's not going to do anything that it is intended to do. It's a buzzword filled smoke and mirror for the Canadian public, and that's all that it will do. It will not actually curb gun crime. It will not curb gun deaths. It will not curb anything. It's
no.
Like if we put half of the attention and effort into actually shoring up our border and doing proper inspections on every single fucking thing that comes through them that we put into this stupid bill, what we would find would shock this country. And I'm not talking just fucking guns. I'm not talking just guns.
No, and Ryan, you're correct. There's so much more.
Ryan, you sound like a crazy right winger.
I know.
You might be a bigoted racist.
I might be somebody that what was that Twitter thing that was going around? A bigot, a misogynist.
Yeah, all those things. You're definitely.
Yeah, what was it?
You're so logical. You're a crazy person.
Absolutely.
You're definitely a racist.
I obviously hate gay people and black people
obviously,
now. That's
right?
obvious.
You're completely, imbalanced. You're a crazy person.
No, I'm a centrist and I'm a realist, and that's all it is. And I've always been that way. And yes, I'm a socialist when it comes to fucking human rights and helping people. I'm a social liberal when it comes to that. I'm a staunch conservative when it comes to protecting me and my daughter. And I'm a staunch, and my wife, if I forget her,
I'm glad you added
I'll need protection from her if I don't add her.
After the fact,
yeah, right. Wife. But if I don't, I just can't. I can, and fiscally, like I think we should help everybody, but I don't think we should give away the farm while we do it. So, if that makes me some sort of radical, I don't think so. I think it makes me a fence sitter. I'm a fence sitter, and there's no party that
absolutely. You know
there
what,
is no
Ryan,
party that represents me now.
You know what? I agree with you completely. Like obviously, like here, like I'm like the hardline right winger, but I agree 100% with you. Like when it comes to my family, and to protect my family, I'm absolutely conservative. fiscally I'm conservative. Socially, yeah, I probably have a lot of liberal tendencies. It's one of those things. And you guys, you're obviously, Ryan, you're probably familiar with Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh yeah.
In the U.S. Yeah.
Yep.
Chris, I don't know if you're familiar, but anyway, she was was she the governor of Hawaii? She was a congresswoman anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, she was a congresswoman, and she is a Democrat. And it was about 2 months ago, she left the Democratic Party because she's like, I don't like where things are headed. And then someone asked her, do you think you are going to, run for the, well, I'm going to back it up a bit. Prior to, Joe Biden being the leader of the Democrats, she actually, threw her hat in the ring to try to be the leader of Democrats along with Bernie Sanders and a few others.
Yeah.
And like I said, 2 months ago, she left the Democratic Party, and people are like, because the way she's talking, people are like, wow, she sounds a lot like a Republican. Are you going to run for the Republican Party? And she's like, no. She's like, I'm not a Democrat. She's like, I'm not a Republican.
Yeah, she punched out.
Yeah. And people are like, what are you? And she looked at the camera. She's like, I am an American.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I'm an American.
And I was just like, God love you, Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah,
brilliant.
No kidding.
And I disagree with Tulsi Gabbard on a gamut of issues. But I agree with where she stands. Me and her will disagree on a lot of things. But I guarantee you we'll actually agree on more things than we disagree on. And the fact that she's willing to take a stand and not be partisan, I'm like if she was I could be like, that's a woman that should be president of the United States.
Yeah. Yeah. No, a centrist, somebody that is center.
And realistically, she's probably center left. She's probably more of a Democrat than a Republican, but I would support her.
Isn't that a thing? I grew up centric. You parallel your parents' politics a little bit, I guess.
A little bit, yeah. Of
course you do.
Yeah.
Growing up out west, I did. So I consider myself right center, but I always respected some of the values, like NDP values. Jack Layton was, as we discussed.
Yeah.
There's always little bits and pieces. But now everything's so fucking polarized and divisive. It's like I can't get behind anybody because they've gone so far right or left. There's no center anymore.
Yeah.
So you take a lady like that who just bows out because she is centric and says, I don't have fuck all to do with you on the right or you on the left. You're all right out of it.
That being said, right now, I although I'm going to throw it out there, agree or disagree with me, and believe me, I'm not a staunch conservative. I have some libertarian views, some liberal views.
Me too, man.
Yeah, but right now, I think more than ever, I think right now the party closest to center right now, or at least the leader closest to center right now, is probably Pierre Poilievre. I'm just saying.
I want to hope so.
Just saying.
I really do.
I don't like everything he says. But from at least from a fiscal point of view, I mean, right now with inflation the way it is,
you want to opt out of you want to opt out of it with crypto, like he told you to, or
I can't speak to crypto because I'm not a crypto guy, so I can't even offer a really good opinion on it.
Yeah, no, I'm when it comes to when you have Harper conservatives looking at him going, that should tell you something. Harper was a pretty fucking right-wing guy.
Yeah.
Especially when it came to fiscal conservative standpoints. Socially, he's pandered to the far right, and that's a red flag for me. I would agree with you. If you know what, it's funny. We all made fun of fucking Archie Bunker, but I would have taken fucking Aaron O'Toole over Pierre Poilievre any fucking day.
Now, see, and I think Ryan, this is where you and I will disagree. Because now I think, here's my right wing coming out. I think Aaron O'Toole was a fucking cuck. I think he was just. I think he was a fucking punk bitch for the left.
So
Pierre. Yeah. I think Pierre Poilievre. I think he's much more. I think he's much more fucking fiscally conservative.
You say that because he was actually right center and everybody's fucking far right. So anybody who's right center now gets attacked by the far right going, oh, he's a bitch for the left. Like, well, is he?
Okay, but here's something else interesting. Now,
I'm not saying he was the best guy.
No,
but I think I mean, like I said, I'm not going to say I'm like 100% fucking Pierre, but I think he's far better. At least like where he stands. I think Aaron O'Toole was a little bit too wishy-washy. Nobody really knew where he stood. So like the right didn't like him, the left didn't like him, so he's fucking useless.
But
Now
here's
you
where
look at a
all
guy
our
like
arguments
Andrew
die.
Scheer. Andrew Scheer. This is what I think. Like Andrew Scheer, first of all, he was in politics for a long time. He was Speaker of the House under Harper. Oh, and I'm going to say this for a while. You said there's a few like Harper conservatives that are looking at Pierre and they're kind of, but
yeah.
Harper himself has backed Pierre to say.
Well, yeah, I think he has to a certain degree. I'm talking within the last week.
Yeah,
when he was on there.
I mean, Harper has backed Pierre, but Harper did not. He didn't back O'Toole the way he's backed Pierre, and he certainly didn't back Andrew Scheer the way he's backed Pierre.
I can never take Andrew Scheer seriously because he looked like the twin of that actor from Superbad. What the fuck was that guy's name?
Oh, Michael Cera.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes. Fair enough. But
no, it's a
Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill, man. Look at
Jonah
Hill and look at fucking Andrew Scheer. They look like they're twins.
They do.
However, listen to me. I never thought of that. You're right.
Interesting fact about Andrew Scheer. During that election, right? Andrew Scheer, he won the popular vote. I mean, I understand that the Liberals had won more seats, but there were like the Conservatives under Andrew Scheer had more people vote for them than Liberals had vote for them. I mean, he won the popular vote. I mean, I watched all of the interviews. I watched all of the debates. Andrew Scheer was much more well-spoken than Jagmeet Singh, than Elizabeth May, than Trudeau. However,
he's a more polished politician for sure.
I don't even think he was. I think he was more personable. Personally, the thing is that the media went after him. Everything they're like, you're a Catholic, you're a Christian, and they fucking demonized him. And he said openly, he's like, because especially let's say like the pro-life, pro-choice, and he even said, he was open and honest. He's like, yes, he goes, personally, he's like, I am pro-life. That being said, he goes, this is a dead issue. I'm not going to bring it up again. We've made our choice. We're going for it. I can separate my personal beliefs from policy and politics.
Can any of them, though?
He was crucified for being a Christian. Imagine if Jagmeet Singh if you look at the codified doctrine of Sikhism, and he had been crucified for being a Sikh, it wouldn't have stood. But it is okay this day and age to absolutely crucify white Christians. It's
because white Christian nationalism is a problem.
Hang on. I need you guys to tell me which one's
which.
It really is.
It's a perceived problem. It's bullshit.
Morgan, take a value. I need who's who here.
Who's who for what?
Who's that? Who is that?
That's Andrew Scheer.
And who's that?
Who's who?
And who's that? Who's that?
That's hilarious.
That's Scheer, very well. I never noticed that, Chris. That's very well done.
I never noticed it either. That's fucking. I'll never see them the same ever again.
Awesome.
Andrew Scheer. I saw like that's Jonah Hill. He was in Superbad. There's no fucking way I'm voting for this guy, man.
That's good. I like it.
Is that it? Are we fucking done here? Did we solve all the world's problems?
We're 5 minutes.
I think we've solved most of them.
I think
so too.
You know what? We agreed we like Jack Layton.
Yeah.
Let's recap tonight.
No, hey, Chris.
We agreed Tulsi Gabbard was okay except for Ukraine shit. But
yes, we agree. We
respected.
We respected Jack Layton.
Hey, Chris, we didn't agree that we like Jack Layton or we like Tulsi Gabbard, but we agreed that we respect them.
That's fair. Okay, I like that. Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah, let's stop. Let's take like out of this from now on. You know, if everybody would take identity politics out and just say what you agree with and what you disagree with rather than fucking putting a personality on it, I think we would all be in a little better place. And I agree with you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I really think that, I agree with that. I respect those people, and I do.
Yeah.
Can we also agree that Bill C-21 is smoke and mirrors and deflection
and garbage? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Good. So we're aligned on that. Fuck, I think we've met the
what about
intent of the
Chris?
night.
What about C11?
Wait, are we allowed to talk bad about it, or are we going to get shut down?
We're gonna get shut down, man. Big
our
Brother's
algorithms are
watching
going to
it.
get fucked, and we'll never
so
get.
Anyway, I think we all agree on C11 as well. Correct me if
We
I'm wrong,
agree on
fellas.
C11, and we agree that we'll never see Andrew Scheer anything other than Jonah Hill's twin brother.
Absolutely.
This show will never be seen other than by four guys and none of it.
It
now
feels
because
like Lynn's report's coming up on Andrew Scheer's next tactical bound in life.
I would actually welcome a spot from Fire for Effects host Army Chris to do a pre-record, and I can definitely put it in the next Lynn's report.
Because the hamster's picking up a little bit of speed, man.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah, I mean, hey, I just want to say, Ryan. Obviously, prior to this, I didn't know who you were at all, and I must say, I really enjoyed this. And Chris, this has been excellent.
Same.
Like here I am.
This
I'm
is
the
first
hardline
time I've
right
had
winger.
the pleasure of having Ryan on. So I'm
Yeah,
glad
absolutely.
you jumped in.
And
Ashley, thank you for letting him jump on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it was excellent. And think about the perception is this guy's the hardline right winger. You know, Ryan's the fucking communist. And
he's the left wing pinko commie. We would wait for the counterbalance.
I like pinko.
Pinko.
But
real and Chris is like he's the undecided guy. Chris is the bisexual.
Very bisexual.
Very bisexual.
Listen, so everybody knows I'm pretty fucking right, but I try to create balance to the fucking force during my pod. You know what I mean?
I have some inside information that I don't think has ever been made public, and I have pictures that maybe I'll bring it on the next pod.
Oh,
so I stayed at Army Chris's in Edmonton back on Labor Day weekend. It was a fantastic time, beautiful fucking house, great host. We had a blast.
We did.
Have you ever been to the house yourself?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so did he stay in the same room I did, Chris, by chance?
No.
I don't live too far from Chris.
He lives down the road.
Okay, so I'm in the guest room. Okay, so I have a clear view, bathrooms in between. I can see into Chris's room, and he told me that it was for the dogs, but I know it was for the midget, Jimmy. He's got steps on the end of the bed for Jimmy to get up into bed with him.
This is not.
He said, "No, it's for the dogs." I never saw any dogs. Just so you know, by the time I was there, he said, "Oh, they're at my ex's house."
It up there.
They're at my ex's house. I know that those steps were for Jimmy. So calling him a bisexual is probably pretty on, nail. Yeah, I'm in.
It's fair. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you, gentlemen.
But hey, all I wanted to say though, Chris, I just wanted to kind of circle back around. I think right now we got a perfect demographic of Canadian society here. Like I said, we got our you're kind of center. I'm fucking center right. You know, we've got Ryan as center left, but realistically, we all want the same thing, and we agree on 90% of things.
Isn't that funny? How I guarantee you, 80% of this fucking country is the same way, but it's the other 20% that won't shut the fuck up. That's
exactly.
the problem.
I agree 100%, Ryan.
Yeah, and
thank you, boys.
That's exactly it, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. So.
Yeah, and this has been excellent. We should have Ryan on a little bit more often here, Chris.
Does he live east of you, Chris?
Left-wing views. It kind of helps bring things back a little bit.
Yeah.
He lives east of you.
Yeah, he lives over there.
Yeah, east of you. I could tell by the accent.
He's from way he's from as east as you can get, man.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. If I was any further east, I'm pretty much in Saskatchewan.
I was gonna say you'd be in the fucking right in the ocean.
If you live past Lloydminster, to me, you're east. That's it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
All right, boys. Have a great night.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for coming in. That was a lot of fun. Ladies and gentlemen, Morgan Warren, obviously, Ryan Lindley, host of the Sheeple Shepherd podcast and the Lynn's Report, which you can find on Spotify. It's a satirical approach to today's current events. Finally having Ryan on was great. He's also co-host on the Dean Blundell show, which you can listen to daily. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I'm sorry I didn't get to all your comments. Again, I still don't have a fucking producer, but I am working on that. Yeah. Good show. I think we kind of hit what we wanted to. So what can we do? Fire for Effect Live and the Fire for Effect podcast brought to you by DeanBlundell.com. Go to DeanBlundell.com for Canada's largest digital source of sports news media and cool podcasts. You can find my shit on deanblundell.com as well. Positive Mike's Brewing Company. You can get the gear, you can't get the beer. Mike's supposed to bring me some beer over. I need a resupply, so I got to make sure his bottles are all washed out. Yeah, Positive Mike's Brewing Company. Mr. Hooper Inc. Bryce couldn't be with us tonight. He's his daughter's in the hospital. She's recovering, so he's doing the apparently good thing and spending his time with her. If you need an alternative source to conventional medicine, check out Mr. Hooper Inc. Get hold of Bryce. You can get him on all his social media platforms. And last but not least, my good friends at Lakeside Farmstead, Mr. Jeff None and his family banging out outstanding Wagyu cross beef just north of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and some amazing dairy products. Thanks, guys, for joining, and we'll see you next week. Sorry, I'm trying to turn all this shit off. Till then, get Festivus. Be safe.